Hello. Welcome back, guys, to Underrated Movies. I'm your guy, I'm your man, Mr. Alton Henry. And today I would like to talk to you of another film. Another film that I think is underrated and it doesn't really get a lot of attention. I remember seeing this online, the trailer, and we're talking about the Peter Strickland. Um, I'm not familiar with his work, but he's the film I'm about to talk about is In Fabric. It's distributed by A24, which they are amazing. Released back in 2018, 3 years ago. Wow. It's it's a supernatural comedy horror film. It's light on the comedy, but more supernatural horror. The film is set, I think it's set during the 90s. When I got the impression, I thought it was set during the 80s or the 70s. It stars the actress Maria or Marianne Jane something. I'm just put her name on the captions here. And it centers on a woman who is a little bit lonely, who just got out of a divorce, who has her son, adult son, live with her. She decides to buy a dress. A red dress. It's a lovely dress. And this dress here that she buys might possess supernatural powers. Or could be a ghost in the dress. Yeah, could be. Well, supposedly you know that when you watch the trailer, the dress is basically alive. You don't know who's the ghost. You don't know what. You don't know anything much about it except that there's this place that this woman, this main character, I've actually forgot her name in the film. Oh, Sheila. I got the computer right next to me. Sheila buys the dress, wears it, and then strange things start to happen. She start getting a rash. Things start to break down whenever the dress is around. And as people start to get to hurt, people start attacking her because she's wearing the dress, making her life more miserable. That sucks. The film has a tribute to like those 1970s, not 80s, 70s, 60s British psychological supernatural horror with a little hint of Italian horror. And what I really loved about it, that the film really pays tribute to that. The opening scene, I gotta tell you, you have to watch the opening scene. It really gets you in. It really sets the tone what the film is going to be about for the rest of the film. And I really like that. You have a bunch of freeze frames from the other movie, from what's going to happen later in the film. You have scenes that are going to happen that appear later. And then also, I really love the music. The music is amazing. I loved it. Probably one of my favorite parts of the film is the music, the eerie soundtrack that this movie has. It really sells you that this is like a 1970s supernatural horror film. And you don't get horror like this anymore. You don't, unless it's from this brand A24. This is actually probably one of A24's most visually stunning films. Performances wise, I don't. There's not a bad performance in this film. Not at all. And this actress, I've only seen her in a little bit. Not a lot of films. She was in the. I guess she was in the 2014 RoboCop film. I really remember her from playing Idris Elba's sister in the film Takers. I don't know if anybody sees that, but that was actually a pretty good action film. And then I guess she was in the film Spy Game, Tony Scott. This is probably her first like lead role that I've seen her in, and she does great. She does very well. With her character, where she plays Sheila, this lonely woman who's trying to move on with her life. She's trying to have some sort of like she's trying to just be happy with her life. She's alone. She's not receiving the I guess, love and affection that she believes she deserves. And you can kind of get that within the first 15 minutes of the film. Her son still lives with her and is basically, I think, kind of using her just to live there, not taking responsibility on his own behalf. There's more to it in the first hour. And let it be known, this film is actually two parts, just two stories. The first part here is the longest one. It lasts like 67 minutes. 67 minutes. This is the strongest aspect of the story. Then I think, and then there's a part two where you focus on a couple, mostly on this guy who works for, he's a mechanical, he's a technician for washers. And he wears the dress too, but someone in a comedic way. And as the movie kind of goes along, I believe the first part of this film is a lot stronger than the second part, because the second part just kind of regurgitates the same thing, but just it's a lot shorter. Because when the second part kind of happens, I believe there's a little bit of a tone shift, even though I think they do capture a balance with comedy and horror. It's more supernatural horror than comedy. The comedy is very subtle. But the second part, and it's all in the writing, so the characters don't do anything drastic or anything. It's just the situations that they get in that really makes this film somewhat comical. But the part two, I believe, is a little bit more comedic than the first part. Just because I think there are a lot of like little gags that happen in the film within dialogue, just with when the film transitions into the couple. You more have them kind of bickering one another against one another, and then you're dealing with the guy who's not having the best of luck with his life too. And it's kind of weird. It's also actually him and Sheila. I'm sorry, I don't remember the other guy's name in the film. His character actually worked for the same company, so I thought that was unique. I thought that was a unique aspect of the film. And I think the moment when the spell gets cast is when you buy the dress. They have you recite your name, your residence, and your phone number, and then I think the spell gets cast. I actually had to watch the film a second time to understand like certain details I missed. I don't think the movie's trying to be artsy or nothing. I think the film's just trying to be experimental with storytelling and just with style. It's a style over substance kind of film. Strange. I think there's a lot of ambiguity and bigotry that goes along in the film too. Because I think when the victims, what happens when you wear the dress and if you get consumed by the dress, I think eventually you become these dolls that they have out on display. You can go to the stores, these dolls. I think that's what happens in the film, because you're not given a lot of details, and that's actually, I think, makes the film a lot scarier, where you're not given a lot, you're not explained a lot what goes on in the film. And I think it works. But also you kind of want answers, but I think the film works better when you're not given a lot of answers and you kind of just go along with the ride and kind of just figure out what you think happens to these characters in the film. Because I believe the victims turn into these dolls that are displayed around the store, wearing all these other dresses, as advertisements for people to buy, Now the film, I think the film kind of gets on point with pacing. I don't think the film runs too long or anything. I think it runs fine, but I do believe the second part gets a little bit weaker, and you kind of just want to know what kind of you kind of want to know where the second part is going. My issue with the second part, it does become a little bit too comedic. A bit. A little too comedic, a little bit, but I really enjoyed it. This is actually one of, I think, A24's most underrated films that don't get talked about enough. I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised this is actually a British film. because there were a lot of British logos on it. Actually, I think you could actually, I just actually got done watching it through Tubi. I highly recommend anybody who has the extra time to check this film out. Check it out. Let me know in the comment section below. I do like, if I had to like kind of compare this film to anything, I would say maybe to like Psycho, because that film is kind of like a two-parter where you're focused on one victim, then you center on the second one, where you know the second part is not as strong as the first part. The first part is really strong. And I actually love that the film tried to do things differently, where they didn't try to drag out the first part. I think they did that because maybe they didn't know where to go from there, and they did what they did, and they thought they needed a second part focusing on another group of characters to move the story along. I really enjoy this film. This is really good. I wish I reviewed this last month, but you know what? Just, hey, I'm reviewing it now. You guys need to check it out. Let me know in the comment section below if you've seen this. Please follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and I'll let you know in my next review.